Alright guys, it's fragrance haul video time. Who's a fan of these kinds of videos? Let me know, put a comment down below, but today I've got a haul video for you, and I'm going to show you what I purchased during my month-long trip in Europe, which mostly consisted of London, Florence, Paris, the south of France, Cannes, and of all the airports that I visited during my travels and everything like that. So I've got a bunch of fragrances that I've picked up, not too many, but there are some that I fell in love with, and I'm going to show you what they are coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yesterday I'm talking about fragrances I purchased during my trip. There are some stuff that I picked up for friends that they wanted them, and if I found them, I picked them up. There's no Dior on Parfum in this haul video. I wasn't able to find any, although as I was saying in another video, I found some at a standalone Dior perfumes or beauty store in the south of France in Cannes, and they had the Dior on Parfum there, but unfortunately I did not buy any because I was on my way to an appointment and I didn't have any space left, and also didn't have any space left coming back. But many of you said that it's available in various duty-frees, so I'm traveling again here in 2.5 weeks. Hopefully I will be able to find some. We'll see if I buy any or not, but depends on how much space I have in my luggage. But let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is Baby Cat. I was able to buy a bottle as a friend was looking for a bottle, and I did find bottle in Milan duty free, and there was about 15 bottles there around the 18th, 17th, I think it's the 17th or 18th of September. So I was able to buy one, and now a friend is going to be very happy. But I went to Printemps in Paris, but they didn't have any in stock, so it's still kind of very limited. And also looking forward, in London duty free, the sales associate there said it's very, very limited, hard to find. So this is the second time I've seen it in Italy. One time I saw it at a Rinascente store in Milan, and now at the duty-free in Milan Malpensa airport. So let's move on with the fragrances that I purchased. Again, all of these are fragrances I purchased. I do receive a lot of, or get gifted a lot of fragrances, and I don't feature those in haul videos because I don't think it's fair. These are ones that I paid full money with my own money. Of course, I try to get the best deals on them with discounts and things, but most of these are suggested retail price. So let's start with this fragrance. This is actually about 2 fragrances that are created by Dominique Ropion. So a brand I discovered at Givenchy called ROOS and ROOS, and a fragrance called MALAMATA. Instantly fell in love with the way this smells, and I looked it up, and it was Dominique Ropion who had created it. It's interesting though, I bought it, took it, and I was traveling with some friends. One of my friends fell in love with it. They said, I want to buy that bottle off of you. So they bought it off of me. So I had to go back to Givenchy and buy a second bottle because this stuff is great. I tried to meet the brand while I was at one of the shows, but I couldn't get, I couldn't get it accomplished. But hopefully next time I will be able to meet this brand. But how many of you knows ROOS and ROOS? Let me know. And how many of you knows MALAMATA? It's like one of the greenest fragrances I've ever put my nose on, but in such a great way. It's kind of green and vegetal and just very fresh, herbal, aromatic, but mostly vegetal greens. It's, I guess, somewhere in between something like Lambredon Low from Diptyque, maybe Eau de Campagne from Sisley. But man, this stuff is super, super amazing. I'm going to go ahead and spray it here so that I can tell you a little bit about this. This might be a very long video, but I also don't have notes for these fragrances. I didn't prep them. It's a haul video, but I'm going to tell you my first impressions on camera, although I've smelled these fragrances before. That's why I bought them. But oh man, it's really, really good. Really, really good. Just imagine the greenest greens, very fresh, a bit dewy in the mornings because there's a bit of watery effect here, but it's done in such a delicious way. It's super amazing, like really, really amazing. I didn't realize it was Dominique Ropion until I purchased it and, had to read about it, but my God. If you're into green fragrances, you've got to get your nose on this stuff. It's super amazing. So that is the first fragrance I'm talking to you about. The next fragrance is also created by Dominique Ropion, and this is a fragrance I smelled some time ago, and then it was reminded to me last trip I took in March, April. Somebody had a bottle, and I rediscovered it then, and I was too late to get it. And nobody sells this particular fragrance here in the States, so I waited to go back to Paris to go to their most amazing store on the Rue Saint-Honoré. If you've ever gone to the store, it's ASTIER de VILLATTE. That's the name of the brand, and the fragrance is Le Nuit. Oh man, this is really, really great. So different than the other fragrance, but really fantastic fragrance if you like violet and iris. And this brand is known for very, very expensive luxuries for the house. I mean, if you're ever in Paris, you've got to go to their store. It is an amazing, amazing store. This is Le Nuit, this one right here. It's created by Dominique Ropion, and it's a violet and iris bomb, but in a really, really great way. Let me smell it again. It's been a while since I've smelled it. It's ambery, it's vintage-esque, which I quite like. You can definitely pick up the violet and the iris. There might even be a little rose in here because I'm definitely getting something makeup-like, but super amazing fragrance. This is Le Nuit from the house of ASTIER de VILLATTE. I think that's how you say it. I'm probably butchering their name. But they have a lot of eau de cologne style fragrances, but it seems like now they're, focusing on their more concentrated styles. They also have a fragrance called Tucson, which I kind of like, but that fragrance is probably one of the best from that house, and probably one of the best fragrances that Dominique Ropion has created. Those two fragrances, really, really top notch. So let's go to a couple of fragrances that I've already spoken about and done videos on the channel. You can go catch them. I'm not going to tell you too much about them, but it's Gucci Guilty Elixir de Parfum pour Femme, Gucci Guilty Elixir de Parfum pour Homme. How many of you has these? I bought these on my way from London to Florence at the duty free, and that's where I asked about Baby Cat at that particular time in the London Heathrow duty free, and they said they don't have the Baby Cat. But let's quickly smell the feminine one. The feminine does remind me a lot of the previous versions. It's fruity and it's floral. It's ambery and quite concentrated. It's actually quite a nice creation, I think. And then the men's doesn't really smell a lot like the previous versions, which I quite like because I didn't really care for the previous Gucci Guilty series, like the original. I know it focused on patchouli, but I think this is also got the patchouli, but it's actually done much better. Definitely very, very wearable. It does have a little bit of a DNA of other designer men's fragrances that I'm familiar with. It's created by Quinton Biche and another perfumer, I believe, and I forgot her name right now. But I think these two are definitely very solid releases. They're elixir concentration fragrances from Gucci, and it's Gucci Guilty Elixir de Parfum pour Femme, Gucci Guilty Elixir de Parfum pour Homme. So let me know if you are familiar with those fragrances. Let's go to some fragrances that I've already spoken about and I've done videos on. This one right here, thankfully a friend had a bottle while I was in Paris. This was really difficult to get. When it first launched last year, I was trying to get it. It was just not possible. But when I was in Paris, this friend said, I have a bottle. If you want to buy it, you can buy it. I don't need it. So I bought it. And I'm glad to have Gaultier too by Jean-Paul Gaultier. It's a bit different than the original. And there's also a bit of a confusion about the fragrance version of this or another one because the notes are different and people are saying the smell is different. So I've only smelled this one and it does remind me of the original, but it's a little different to me than the when it first came out back in around 2005. Originally created by Francis Kurkdjian. I can smell it real quickly. It's focusing on orange blossom or neroli. I think it's orange blossom though. Let's quickly smell. It's ambery take on orange blossom. And there's a kind of like a jasmine type note in here. It's a floral note. It's quite gorgeous actually. I still like it. I think it's definitely great. And the other thing is this is now on the USA Jean-Paul Gaultier website. It wasn't for the longest time. And maybe by the airing of this video it's going to be available for purchase. I don't know. But who knows, maybe it will. But let me know if you're a fan of this one, and if you have a bottle, or if you haven't had a bottle, you're anticipating to get one once it's available on the USA website. It's been available since last year on the French website. Maybe that's the only website it's available on. I don't know. but glad to have that bottle. Here's one that I was really anticipating. It's SHALIMAR MILLESIME Iris from the House of Guerlain. Very limited edition. In fact, when I went to the Guerlain boutique, I also got recognized by someone that came in who follows my channel, which was kind of crazy. But it's good. I like this one, but I think I prefer the Tonka a little more. But let's go ahead and try this. For me, this one seems a bit more like, the example I'm going to give you is more like Chanel No. 5 Low. Not necessarily kind of watery like that, but more like a modern take on the original classic. So it probably is not going to satisfy the purists, because I really, really enjoyed the Tonka. This one is okay. I'm glad to have it though. I mean, it's good. You're not gonna find the DNA of the original in there as much as the previous version, but when you put yourself outside of expecting something to smell like the original, I think this will satisfy. It's definitely an irisy take on the original Shalimar, and I think it's quite gorgeous. Just, I think if you're a purist, you're looking for something very similar to the original, you're probably not going to get that as much. But I think the traces of the original is in there for sure, so you'll smell the original. So this is great to have. It's going to be a collector's item, because when I went into the store, the Guerlain boutique, the associate said it's probably going to sell out right away, and we don't have a lot of bottles left. So I ended up buying 2. We'll see if I keep both, but let's go ahead and move on. One thing I forgot to mention is, when you buy yourself a bottle from ASTIER de VILLATTE, which I did, the Le Nuit, they give me a really great book. This one right here. It's called Trois Parfums Historiques. And then there's really, really great writing about different notes and ingredients in here, which is a great kind of a vintage book. And if you go there and you're buying that fragrance, make sure to ask for that book if they don't give it to you, because I'm a sucker for anything historic and vintage looking, and I love this book. This is a great book to have. So these 3 fragrances were launched, and I was not able to get my hands on for the longest time, and I found them on my travels. So Polo Earth Flankers. So Polo Earth came out last year, and then they decided to do flankers of that fragrance, and they have Antilles Vetiver, this one right here. We've got Moroccan Neroli, this one right here. And then we've got Provençal Sage, this one right here. So I don't know if you guys want me to do a video on this collection. I don't know if you're a fan of the original Polo Earth. Let me know, put a comment down below. But let's go ahead and sample these again. I quickly smelled them in passing, but didn't really focus on them. But I really enjoy the Polo Earth from Ralph Lauren. I think it's a great substitute for those of you that are looking for Mugler cologne. It's a unisex offering. It's neroli. It's orange blossom and things like that. This is, I don't know if it's a flanker of the original. I don't think it utilizes the notes of the original, but it's kind of a take on the series, I believe, Polo Earth. So this is Provençal Sage. We're expecting, ooh, that's nice. I can smell the sage, and it reminds me of the south of France. I spent like 2 weeks in the south of France on this last trip, and I got lots of sun, and yeah, this reminds me of the south of France. Really, really big time. Big time. But it's fresh, it's cologne-esque, very, very herbal, very aromatic, a greenness, a bit grassiness. So Provençal Sage, I approve of. So the series is all fresh. So if you like the idea of fresh fragrances, you might dig these. And I think the original Polo Earth is quite nice. I was kind of expecting a lavender with this collection, but they don't have a lavender. Or did they? I can't remember now. I only saw 3 on my travels, and I bought all 3. The next one is Moroccan Neroli. This one. Let's see how this is. Ooh. Oh boy. Now this kind of reminds me of the original Polo Earth. I haven't compared them. I think I'm going to do a video on these fragrances, all 4. I've used quite a bit of the original, but this is really, really great smelling. I think this is a great, solid collection. Really solid. If you like Neroli, you got to get your nose on this one. It's great. It's definitely kind of Mugler cologne-esque, but again, as I was saying, the original Polo Earth did remind me of Mugler's, cologne. So why do we have this Moroccan Neroli flanker now? We shall see. But the next one is Antilles Vetiver. And that is this one right here. Who's a fan of vetiver fragrances? This is definitely dusty, woody, earthy, grassy, and a bit subdued compared to the other two. And I can see that the woods kind of keep it not, from projecting a lot. But in the end, I think it's a very wearable, yeah, it's definitely very wearable, kind of cologne-esque vetiver. But I think it's a bit more woody, like a take on woody, more than like something very grassy. First, I felt some grassiness, but it got deeper as it was drying down. Yeah, this one's nice, but I think the first two are really great. This one might need to be worn because it's a bit, close. It's not screaming too much, if that makes sense. So it needs to be put on skin for it to develop further. But anyway, those three fragrances from Ralph Lauren, I think they're doing pretty good. Again, these are not anything groundbreaking, I should say. You'll probably smelled fragrances like these, but I think they're done very well. So I'm going to go to a house called L'Herbolario. Who's familiar with that particular house? They have a fragrance called Mijares that I've spoken quite a bit about. It's a great substitute, an inexpensive substitute for something like Musk Ravageur. If you go to Italy, I bought what I'm going to show you now from the L'Herbolario store in Florence. If you're there, go if you like budget fragrances, because the fragrances are really, really inexpensive. So 100 ml usually sells for about 35 to 39, and the 50 mls are around 27 euros. These are euros I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and discuss these. So first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Frescaessenza. I think that's how you say it. This one right here. So this store is kind of herbalist kind of theme. I think that's it. And they have a lot of different fragrances, a lot. And so these are the ones I fell in love with. And after I was doing my purchase and doing my, tax-free, I've noticed that there was a few more. So next year when I go back, I'll buy a few more. But I did really like this fragrance. This was 27 something euros, and it's a 50 ml, so very inexpensive. So those of you that are budget minded, if you're traveling to Italy, visit one of these stores and get your nose on the fragrances. I think they're pretty solid and definitely worth it. This one is very fresh and green. In the store, when I was smelling it, it was very hot and humid outside. So this one was really projecting a lot. But I feel like there's aromatics and lots of like neroli, like orange blossom like notes, as you can see in the bottle. I mean, in the box here. Definitely a great freshie and seems to be very unisex. Next, we've got one called Patchouli. Patchouli Profumo. Once again, 27. I believe all of the 50 mls are 27 from what I remember. This is the bottle. This patchouli is nothing but patchouli, so it's very earthy. Whoa. Very, very earthy. This is not necessarily uber chocolate cakey, but very, very earthy. Now, if you've never been to one of these stores, they have all kinds of products in there. Skincare, maybe even digestion kind of products. But lots of perfumes. I mean, they probably had like 30 different fragrances in there. And they're all spread out all over. And they have themed, things. And they have a perfume for that particular theme kind of a thing, if that makes sense. But the patchouli is great. That stuff smells great. I think it's going to be pretty potent. So this fragrance has been a staple in the fragrance community when I first got into the fragrance community. Mijares, I think, is still available, but this one called DOLCELISIR apparently is only available in a bottle like this, and this is the last of the bottles, so the woman kind of talked me into getting it. This is a version of a fragrance that kind of reminds people of Ambre Narguilé from the house of Hermes. Once again, very inexpensive. This was like 12 euros, I think, this bottle. and it's a 15 ml. So I prefer larger bottles, but they didn't have it, so I kind of got talked into getting it. And it does smell like, you know, Ambre Narguilé, maybe a bit like Wajan, things like that. It's basically like a dessert, basically, kind of. I always say like a baklava. It has a kind of a Middle Eastern honeyed, lightly nutty, a kind of a flavor, not flavor, but smell. So it kind of reminds me of some kind of a you know, food like that. But it's super delicious, very inexpensive. Too bad they don't have the original bottles anymore. So let's go to another one called AMBRALIQUIDA, this one right here. So this one is 100 ml, and I believe this one was around 35 to 40 euros. This is what it looks like right here, AMBRALIQUIDA. It's basically amber liquid, I think it translates to, and it's an amber fragrance. Yeah, amber. It's got a very polished quality, not granular, not textural, spicy, very, very resinous for sure. Yeah, autumn comes to mind, and that's exactly what the imagery is on the actual fragrance. So 3 more to talk about. This one called Argan Oil Profumo. This one was super delicious. That's why I had to have it. It's a very like gourmand style fragrance. It's right here. This one was 27 euros. I mean, again, if you're budget minded, go there. If you're traveling to Italy, look for one of these stores called L'Herbolario. But this is super yummy, nutty fragrance. Really, really yummy. Really delicious. Again, I don't know the performance on these. The only one I've worn is Mahares, which I'm not talking about today. I've got videos on that. Oh my god, this is so good. This is like gourmand nuttiness. Great stuff. If you want me to do a video on all these fragrances, including Mahares, let me know. But I've got 2 more to talk about. Let's do this one first. This one's called ACCORDIO ARANCIO. So orange accord, perhaps, is what it translates to. I like their bottles. They're fun. So this one is very orangey. It's got a very orange quality to it. And a bit creamy also, almost like an orange creamsicle with some herbs thrown in. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun fragrance, and I love the orange bottle too. Lovely stuff. And then last but not least, we've got one called Rosa Purpurea. So it's a rose fragrance, obviously. And the bottle is like this. It's interesting how all their bottles are so different. So nothing is looking like the other bottle, which is kind of cool. But again, you know, some brands like to be all uniform and have all the same kind of bottles. So this is very kind of fruity rose, very fresh and juicy. I would say a little jammy, but not necessarily uber thick like jam. There's a syrupy quality about it. And it's got a very freshness. Maybe there's perhaps a bit of greens thrown in, like a bit of stemminess. But it's quite nice. Really great. This is Rosa Purpurea from the house of L'Herbolario. So let me know if you want me to do a video on this house and talk about these fragrances a lot further. But that's basically all of the fragrances from that particular brand. And then, of course, I did a video on this fragrance. I picked this one up at Harrods in London. It's Under the Stars. Have you gotten your nose on this one yet? I think this is a Harrods exclusive, but I believe I mentioned in my video that I think this is not going to stay an exclusive to Harrods for too long. I don't think it's that special of a fragrance. It's okay. If you like simple oud fragrances, you might like this one. Yeah. I mean, it's quality. It's made nice. It's definitely a very Western oud. But I don't think it's that special of a fragrance for it to be an exclusive to Harrods for too long. That's just my opinion. I don't know. But plus it doesn't have the... You know how the Harrods exclusive fragrances are in green bottles? This is definitely not in a green bottle. It's just a basic bottle, which are very similar to every other Maison Margiela fragrances. So anyway, speaking of Florence, I spoke about Florence a bit ago, and I bought 3 fragrances from the house of I Profumi di Firenze. So we've got Cashmere here, and they've redone their packaging, as you can see, and their bottles too. I've got Tabacco. This is a very unique tobacco. And then we've got Patchouli Rosso, this one right here. So let's talk about Cashmere first. Cashmere smelled so good in the heat of Florence. Florence was just baking when I was there, intensely baking. Here's the cashmere in their new bottle. Are you familiar with this brand? Anybody? Let me know. Cashmere is quite musky and also fresh, but there's some density there, and then also lots of floral touches. There's a bit of a laundry clean-like vibe, which I quite like because it was sweaty in Florence, and when I sprayed this on, I instantly loved it. It's fresh, very, very fresh. I might even say there's a bit of fruitiness there, and this one also leans a bit femme, just being upfront about it. But to me, it's a really, really great smell. Cashmere from I Profumi di Firenze. And the owner of the brand told me these bottles are a bit more concentrated than the traditional bottles, which I'm going to show you. So if you see a fragrance in this particular bottle, and you see a fragrance in this particular bottle, you'll know that this collection is a little more concentrated than this collection. So this is Patchouli Rosso. It's a very dark, intense patchouli. Kind of similar to the other patchouli from L'Herbolario, but I think the other one's a bit more chocolate cakey, even though that one's not really chocolate cakey, but when I compare the two, I think the other one's more chocolate cakey than this one. This one's more woody for me. It's got this kind of dark, very masculine edge about it, but in the end, it's still very patchouli. Like, it's intense patchouli. Oh, I love that smell. Really, really love it. Really, really wonderful. It's Patchouli Rosso. I did wear this one a bit on my travels during the trip after I picked it up, and I actually also layered it a bit with the latest version of Raw Gold from Thomas de Monaco to intensify the patchouli, and it worked because this patchouli is a bit one-dimensional. Not necessarily a lot of things are happening with it because it's all about patchouli, so adding an extra layer of patchouli in Raw Gold made it a lot more intense, if that makes sense. So the last one I'm going to talk to you about is tobacco, and unfortunately during my travels the box got wrinkled. I can't really prevent that from happening because I squeezed a ton of stuff into my suitcases. Here's tobacco, and again, this is the most I should say this is a very unique tobacco in that you're not going to get ashiness. You're probably going to get more like tobacco blossoms here. So you don't get that burned, ashy tobacco smell. It doesn't really smell like a in-your-face tuberose or jasmine kind of a smell. There's definitely something unique about this one that it doesn't smell like a flower, even though it's a floral kind of a tobacco take. Very, very different. If you've never smelled this one, I highly recommend you get your nose on it, especially if you're all about tobacco fragrances, because there's some unique tobacco fragrances out there that maybe you might not have smelled, and this is definitely one of them. So this is Tabacco from I Profumi di Firenze, and you can search my channel for I Profumi di Firenze, and then you can find videos on the brand. Let me show you something. I had a follower of mine send me some fragrances so that I can get them from Germany. She's a German follower, and one of the fragrances that I wanted was Nivea Eau de Toilette, this one right here. So I got several of these as I'm going to gift them to some people. But if you don't know Nivea's Eau de Toilette, it's definitely very powdery. It does remind me a little bit of their creams and lotions and things like that. And it also has a bit of a reminder of soap, and it smells a bit like baby powder and things like that. It's a very cozy, powdery fragrance. So if you haven't discovered this one, definitely find it if you can. If you're passing through Germany, they're about 25 euros each. So I've got a couple of those. And then she also got me, well, I paid her, but she was able to send me some fragrances from Rammstein because I can't get them here. So Rammstein, we've got Sex. We have Diamant Low Intense, this one right here. And we have this one. Let's try that one first. So this comes with some really crazy visuals. Basically, it's a fruit, as you can see. This is a band, so this is their fragrance. These are their fragrances, and I think I'm going to do an updated list on this collection of fragrances. And in fact, I've actually met the perfumer that creates the fragrances, Alexander Ilan, and I think I know for sure he's with Simrise. But this is that fragrance. I'm not going to say it on camera. But to me, it's kind of like a marine, orangey grapefruit kind of a thing. I think it's very wearable. Maybe slight bit feminine leaning. Yeah, anyway, I'll stay at that. So that's that. And then we've got Sex. Wait, did I do Sex last time? I can't remember. I'm losing track, but I think Sex was from the last video, but we'll talk about it here. So this is Sex, and then we've got Sex Elixir. Who's a fan of the fragrances of Rammstein? Let me know. Put a comment down below. Very interesting. Kind of smoky, ambery, bit minerally, musky for sure. Yeah. And then there's a little elixir, Sex Elixir, which is supposed to be more animalic, I think. Oh yeah. Definitely more animalic. Although this one, ooh, yeah, it is very. But it's kind of smoky, musky, and then also a bit subdued as well. It's not really projecting much. But probably you don't want that one to project. You'll smell like sex. Anyway, that's called Sex. And then the last one of this brand is Diamant Low Intense. This one right here. Diamant, the original, was kind of silverish, and this one's green. Kind of hypnotizing, isn't it? Okay, let's try this one. More than anything, these fragrances are collectible. If you're in Germany, you can probably buy them for around, what, 20, 28, 30, 40 euros? This is very citrusy. Very fresh. I can smell the citrus rinds and some aromatics. I like that one a lot. Very, very fresh. Alright, so that's that. Then we've got few more fragrances left. This one I have a review that's going to go up very soon. I'm so pleasantly surprised at how good this is compared to the previous version of or Parfum, I should say. This is Elixir. The previous version was Parfum. This version is really, really good. They did a great job, and I hated the Parfum. I really did. I did not care for it whatsoever. But this version, I think Annick Monardo did a great job. It's a great designer fragrance. Really, really wonderful. Yeah, stay tuned for my video review of this one. It's very ambery, spicy, smoky. Definitely great job done, but does it smell like the original? No. I wore the original in the 90s. I didn't even know who Annick Monardo was, but really a great fragrance. So, I was at Harrods, and apparently I went to the Loewe department, and I was looking through a lot of their fragrances. They've got some new fragrances launching soon, apparently. But this collection, I believe it's called Un Paseo por Madrid. I believe he said that they're redoing the bottles, so apparently this is going to be a collector's item. So, I bought this. I liked what I smelled. Let's go ahead and test it on camera here. So it'll be a collector's item if the the bottles are going to change. Here it is right here. And they're basically going to go into the similar bottles of the current collection. They're just redoing all of their bottles, talking about uniform, whereas L'Herbolario, they're all over the place with the different bottle designs, but here they're making them all uniform. But I don't remember what this one was all about. Let's smell it. Okay, it's very ambery, and it's got resins. It's got spices. A bit smoke in there as well. Leather, too. No, really, really great scent. Really, really wonderful. That's why I bought this one. Because I don't really have anything from this collection, and now that they're going into the regular bottles, the uniform bottles, I thought maybe time to, have one to remember the previous collection by. And this is called Descubriendo Colón. I think Colón? Anyway. So, one more here from Givenchy. This is Faux Semblant. So this one was from the La Collection Particulière fragrances. And this one was the previous fragrance in the Hotel Particulière collection. I know it gets a bit confusing. The collection is called La Collection Particulière, and the dark bottles are apparently called Hotel Particulière collection. Go figure. You know, I didn't really like this one when I first tested it last time I was in Europe, but I quite like it now. It seems kind of ambery and also resinous. Really, really nice. This collection is very underrated, and they use all FEMME perfumers from what I remember. And so, Faux Semblant, even though I didn't care for it at first, sometimes fragrances do grow on me, and this one did grow on me. Few more fragrances. We did get a Kilian Smoking Hot. I wore this one. I enjoyed wearing it. You know, I did enjoy wearing it. That's why I had to have it. It's boozy. And I think we can say for sure Kilian does boozy and gourmand fragrances really well. Although the prices are creeping way up, I don't like the fact that the prices are extremely high. But this fragrance is pretty good. It's boozy, it's appley. Is it smoking hot though? I don't know. But it definitely matches the Kilian styling. Anyway, Smoking Hot, created by Matthew Nardin. Last but not least, I still need to have this Macerate, but this is Lavande 31. So somebody had reached out to me and said, you got to get your nose on Lavande 31. It's a really, really great lavender, and I agree. It's not necessarily like kind of like grandma lavender, very modern. Not that there's not anything wrong with grandma lavender. I love lavender. I just love the smell of. I'm just a big fan of herbs, and lavender smell I love. But this one, I like the fact that it's definitely very modernized take on lavender. I'll do a review on this one. Stay tuned for that. It's Lavande 31, and they already have a Rose 31. So anyway, we'll do a review on it. But if you've gotten your nose on this or any of the other fragrances, let me know. Put a comment down below. And what's missing? What's out there that should have been on this haul? Again, I came back with a lot of fragrances, not only the ones I purchased, but I was also given and gifted fragrances. But these are the ones that I bought myself, and I do highlight those in a haul video. And so I didn't have room to bring a lot more back. The one thing I regret not buying is the Tobacco Honey from Guerlain. I need to buy that one because I really enjoyed it. Even though it's extremely sweet, sickly sweet, and a little bit sickly sweet, I think it's a great smelling fragrance. Really, really loved it. And so that one will be added to my list soon as well. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Which one have you been trying to get your nose on? Put a comment down below so I can find out. But either way, please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Unbelievable. I completely forgot this fragrance. It was here on the pile or in the pile, and I just completely overlooked it. But I did post about this one on my Instagram during my travels. It's one of the latest PENHALIGON'S fragrances. It's from the Potions and Remedies collection, and it's called Vroom, as you can see right there. Have you guys gotten your nose on this collection? Let me know. Put a comment down below. So I went to the PENHALIGON'S little shop within shop on the salon at Harrods upstairs on the 6th floor. I smelled every single one of these, and this is the one I purchased over there. I really enjoyed this one. This is what it looks like, although the cap was off. Let me put it back on right there. So yeah, there were some that were kind of familiar smelling, but several smelled really nice. This one, I think because when I got to London, it was so hot. I've never experienced London that hot and humid. I think this fragrance really resonated with me because I was so warm. It's fresh and kind of fruity, and I believe it focuses on osmanthus. I really love the way it smelled. Let's go ahead and smell it again real quick. If you've gotten your nose on this collection, let me know which is your favorite. But Vroom really did it for me. Let's see how it is now. I can smell the osmanthus really, really vividly, and osmanthus is this really beautiful flower. And it has kind of a stone fruit-like smell, apricots, peaches, nectarines. Here you can totally experience that in a floral way. I feel like this also has a bit of leather, which osmanthus can produce. When it produces leather, the leather accord, sometimes I don't like it. But here with its fruitiness, it's quite nice. So this one, I think it's not anything original, but it smells really, really wonderful. And I really like the collection and their bottles, so this is one that I bought. So anyway, just wanted to highlight that here, and I totally forgot about featuring it in the main video, but you're going to find out about it here in this little section. So thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos later. Bye-bye.